flows beautifully into the talk that I'm going to be giving. My talk is, first of all, my name is Mariam, Mariam Kate. I'm a family doctor and a holistic well-being practitioner from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. And as you know, we're all here in isolation. We're in our homes, but I'm so grateful to be part of this beautiful community and to connect and feel the unity. And interestingly, the topic that I chose, living in communion, has a lot to do with you connecting with yourself and understanding and reflecting yourself, as the talk before me like beautifully demonstrated. But more so, it has to do with you choosing to be in communion with the world. And it has communion, for me, I like it more than connection, because you know, connection, disconnection, communion has unity in it. And I really feel that that's the essence that we're going to try to build here. I would like to see who's on and maybe just get to know you guys more if you're available for that. I can see a lot of screens and some videos, but I would like this to be interactive because, you know, it's about community. So feel free to unmute yourself and just pitch in.
It work? Hello?
Hello, hi. Andre Bubbles Sella, Bubbles. And
Hi.
hi. Okay, so when we talk about communion, can you tell me about where you're at, a little bit more about what you're experiencing right now?
I'm in Amsterdam, so it's been an interesting time, uh, especially with the community, because that's kind of completely different.
Yes. Yes, thank you. And Andre?
I'm in Bucharest. I'm living with my mother right now during this period. And it's quite funny because I really didn't want to live with her, but now I'm forced to stay in the same house with my mom.
Oh, yes. It's
And
that time where we're just brought
yes,
to our
but actually it's been better than expected and we got along very well. So apparently sometimes force makes things better. And
time of awareness.
yes,
Thank you for sharing that, Andre.
so that's
Okay.
my small community right now, our community, living in communion.
Yes. So you're building that also. The
Mhm.
thing is, communion, yes, it starts with you within yourself. Then we can talk more about you and the family and those like in your inner circle, and then the outside world. And that's also important because our relationship is being redefined. I don't know about where everyone is, but we started opening up here in the United Arab Emirates a little bit. We started the month of Ramadan, and it's like a holy month where we fast. And usually people have a lot of gatherings at home, you know. But this Ramadan is different because you're not allowed to go into big gatherings, and you know, the movement was very restricted in Dubai until a few days ago, and we started opening up a few days ago. But I went out, and even with the restrictions, you know, removed, people are very disconnected. They don't want anyone in their space. You know, there's a bit of fear. There's an interesting maybe redefinition of communion, but maybe, as you mentioned, Andre, and I'm sure we're going to discuss this more with everyone. It's we are together as a collective, creating new senses of what boundaries are and what connection is or what communion is, how we can connect with people, maybe in a more authentic way, maybe, you know, heart-centered. I don't know. Let's discuss. Gregory?
Yeah, hi guys, hi everyone.
Hi, where are you from? Where are you at?
I'm in Russia right now. I live in a small town not far from, you know, St. Petersburg?
Yes.
Not far from St. Petersburg. So um, actually, my lifestyle didn't change much. Still lots of hard work and like spiritual practice, but I don't leave my part of the city, my area. So I just don't use public transport and stay at my place. But mostly the same for me. Yeah, that's my thing. Thanks.
And do you feel the sense of community has changed?
The sense of I think like we are now more together than ever because like physically we're in different places, but like I feel so much more in touch with my friends, so much more in touch with the community and with everyone after this virus thing. So I'm really, really thankful. Like in Russian, the corona is like a crown. If you
Oh,
if you translate, yeah, the corona in Russian, if it literally means the crown. So it's like a crown virus. And in a sense, I think it's a crown virus because I think after that we will, as we all say, we will be much stronger, hopefully more unified and loving altogether.
beautiful. Thank you, Gregory. And the crown and the spiritual practices, you know, the crown chakra, they always talk about union, you know, union you with the creator, but also union you with all that is, with all of creation, and that's also our communities. So that's beautiful. Let's see who else we have here. I don't know if you're up for it, you, Gino?
Hi, I'm in Hong Kong.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I have four kids. One is in college right now. I have three at home with my wife, and they don't have school, so it's been quite wonderful. Two of them will be going to university and boarding school, and so having this time together has been really wonderful. You know, because they're leaving in the fall, if travel's permitted. And
Wow,
then
so it's like a gift.
yeah, and then community's been wonderful as well too. Well, not so wonderful in that I had three friends pass in the last 3 weeks, and so they have my sleep schedule is out of whack because of all of these online memorials. So
Yeah.
actually, two of them they had big online memorials with over 200 people online sharing for like 5 hours. And so.
Yes.
But it's been great seeing people. And then I teach at a university, so all of our teaching has been online. And so just engaging the students. You know, having said that, there have been no new cases here for like the last 5 days. So Hong Kong is kind of opening up right now.
Good. So it was kind of,
but
yes.
because everyone's quarantined, I've been kind of zoomed out a lot. So like I've been having meetings, and the neat thing is because everyone's quarantined, if you need somebody, you just send them a link and they show up. And so a lot of things can get done very quickly.
Yeah, that's nice actually. Yes, there's a lot of grief that's associated with all the, you know, not being able to show up at funerals and things like that. And I think that's why it's important when we talk about communion also to our own well-being, you know, as Sela explained earlier, like self-awareness and reflection, but more so like with your emotional body, you know, where you're at, how are you feeling. You can't communicate and connect with other people if you kind of bottle emotions up. Right now there's no space for that. You need to kind of be vulnerable enough to live with it and express it so that you can actually form a connection and be in communion with your family and with the community too. Interesting. Thank you, Gino. Let's see who else is here with their cameras on and ready to share. If you're, well, there are a lot of people without their cameras on. If you're ready to share, just, you know, unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay. So we're gonna, so I don't think there are more people who want to share. But you know, if at any time, just raise your hand or just go ahead. The thing is, especially with the news right now, you know, being opening all your channels. So we are opening our channels, as Gino mentioned. You know, you send someone a link and they show up. So we're kind of being more available and more accessible to information because of us being in isolation. That is good because it's keeping us in communion. However, if we continue to do so without that awareness of where my mind is at, what is my personal space, how am I feeling about this, am I giving myself enough space to, you know, reflect, to kind of have a time off the screen, to just, you know, rest or do whatever it is that I want to do. And relaxation is actually one of those virtues that we don't see it as a virtue. Maybe we see it as something that we do, but to command yourself to relax, it's such a it's an elevated state of being where you're saying, this is my time to just, you know, connect with my spirit, to let go, to feel at one with myself, to breathe. So when we talk about communion with ourselves, there's that sense of self-awareness of your physical body. Are you getting enough sleep? Of your mental body, where are your thoughts at? Are you we constantly run different streams of thoughts, you know, especially now we have our work, we have some people have their kids, the schooling, the family life, what's happening around the world, all the different conspiracy theories, you know, so that takes a lot of mind space. And so are we really getting enough time to let go of that and to kind of still the mind and to be at peace? So your mental body, your emotional body, again, the emotions, there's a lot of grief around the world, whether it's you know, losing someone you know, or hearing about a friend that's going through a rough time. The anxiety that we might be picking up, or even we are feeling, is, you know, unknown, what's happening next. So it's important to first of all have the awareness of what you're feeling, but also the outlet. So expression could be through sound, so you can sing it, you can chant it, you could do a mantra. It could be through venting, like talking to a friend. It could be through writing and journaling. A lot of people are doing that. But most importantly, just finding that place for you that you feel it's comfortable for you, whatever your mode is, whether it's music or dancing or TikTok, you know, that's big nowadays. With the quarantine, everyone went on TikTok to shake off the negative emotions, I think. So there's that. And then there's your you know, your social well-being, and your social well-being has to do with your circles. So the inner circle, your mom, your dad, your immediate family, whoever you put in that circle. It could be a colleague at work who is very close to you, because, you know, you used to have those lunches every day, you know, like or a cup of coffee every day at work. So how are you feeling about that? Where is that connection, and how are you maintaining that communion? So are you still doing those cups of coffee? Those are things that we need to really think of when we think of our inner circle. The inner circle is as important as your own well-being, because, you know, it's your ecosystem, it's your environment, and it's your direct environment. So people who are living with you right now, even if you don't think emotionally they're in your inner circle, but because of that proximity and because of the times that we're going through together, they're actually in your inner circle, and you are forced to see those things that maybe you were avoiding within you or within them, you know, and try to find that, how can we be in communion now? And to be in communion, it's a choice. First of all, yes, I want to connect with you deeper, and secondly, it's being authentic with yourself and with them, establishing communication channels, so words if available, you know, just really putting them out there, but choosing also your words wisely, because as we heard from Sela, also the thoughts and the words are energy and they create. So what you're putting in your inner circle is creating for you and for the whole. Something beautiful from Corona, the crown, it's teaching us that, you know, we are all in this together. So if, let's say today one country has zero cases, it still does not change the fact that we can't travel to all the other countries, because all it takes is one other person to spread the infection, and different, you know. So we need to work together in collaboration, and that's a big part of communion, is having that collaborative spirit. So looking at everyone as your equal, everyone is you, a reflection of you. So I want to hear your thoughts about that before we continue.
Cool. Maybe one thing that I was thinking of mentioning in my talk, but I heard a quote from someone, a musician, but I don't remember his name now, that was saying, the perfect human being is the combination of all human beings.
Beautiful.
I thought that was so beautiful. Yeah. And I agree that this is a time where we feel much more equal to everyone. And you see everyone showing up in more authentic way, like artists sharing from their home. And you don't have like, you see more intention also, I feel like. I saw people that are not allowed to shake hands on television, for example. And they're not allowed, but they want to, but you feel more the intention somehow.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Yes. So it's the energy, right?
Yeah.
It's the energy that we are one. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. And now let's move to the outer circle. So the news, the media, what you let in. You know, I don't know if just raise your hand. I mean, if you've bought into a conspiracy theory in the last month for a day at least. Yeah, you know. So there are so many ideas out there, and you hear about just everything. Just because you're confined in your own space and you're exposed, you're opening your mind and you're exposing yourself to all this information, it makes you also more susceptible. There's also the fear factor, the loneliness, you know, the emotion, where your emotions are at, where your mental body is at. And of course, we are continuously working on our well-being, but you know, it's the nature of us humans is to ebb and flow, right? Like we're 70% water, and the water ebbs and flows all the time, so it's waves. So that nature puts us into cycles that can, you know, make us more susceptible to panic attacks because of, you know, I don't know, it's some kind of alien invasion, or this is some kind of whatever, you know. There are plenty. You choose your story that you want to buy into, depending on the day and depending on the Facebook group you're following or what have you. So how can we still be in communion and have that awareness? So, you know, I'm aware of what's going on around me. I'm aware of where the world is, but at the same time, I have that discernment, you know. So it all starts again from you, within you. So that first talk really emphasized that. So you need to strengthen you within you. That's the only way that you can be in communion with your inner circle and your outer circle. But you need to have the awareness of what's going on. So whenever you read a piece of information, first of all, reflect inwards. How does that make me feel? Do I really want to feel more of that or not? So there are days where I unfollow Donald Trump. I have to, you know, just for a week or so, just for my own, just to get back in shape. And then, you know, and then of course I choose to follow him again, or just to read about the news, but with awareness, you know. So when you read a piece of news, an article, when you're subscribed to a channel, always make sure to reflect, how is that making me feel? Do I want to feel that way or not? So that's prioritizing your emotional well-being. And only then can you be in authentic communion with the world, because you and anxiety will attract only more news that are in the same energy, you know, the same anxious energy, the same negative news. And that right now is not very conducive to your well-being, because you have you, and you are in charge of kind of how you feel, and also the people around you, you know. So every person kind of matters in the household. So if you can maintain your own well-being, you can help the people around you also, you know, resonate in that same energy. We can't create for other people, but we can hold that space. And we hold that space just by making sure that we're always self-reflecting and relaxing. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, I actually find it very fascinating. This whole what's happening here. I used to volunteer a lot for all kinds of things, from human trafficking, like against human trafficking, to cooking for inner city kids in downtown LA, all kinds of things. And now, and no one seemed to know how many people were, you know, human trafficked a year, and people didn't know how many kids were homeless in their neighborhood. But now everyone seems to know here around me in Amsterdam who is not making ends meet. Everyone's now aware, or some, I don't know, they're like helping each other. People, there's like phone lines for people that don't have enough to just call. And yeah, I see like a lot of changes, but the things were just aware of it, and now people are taking action, actually making a difference much more than before this happened.
Beautiful. Yes.
So yeah,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
what
you
I'm
for
noticing.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And that's a big part of being in communion with the outside world, is having the empathy. And you see, if you shut down that, you know, if you shut down that channel, you might not be able to feel what's going on around you. So it's important to keep the channels open with awareness. And then, you know, okay, those are the pain points in the world that we live in. How can I be a contribution? How can I, you know, help create that connection and support? And that's something that's beautiful, that we're seeing on all the social media channels too, you know, people coming together, creating support groups with all the food delivery apps. Let's say they add you know, a whole channel for distributing to people who are in need. I know in New York they opened a kitchen 24/7 for people who are homeless and in need, which is the first, you know, to have it 24/7 open. And everywhere around the world, here also in the United Arab Emirates, you know, we created so many funds and people came together. Of course, our leaders kind of supported it and kind of thanked everyone who is part of it. So the community is ready to share and to contribute. I think this this illness has given us the chance to have more awareness and to learn about what's going on around us, but somehow we were too busy to look at, or we were too busy to feel, or too busy to take note of. Great. Okay. Does anyone have anything to add?
I just want to say that I like the point that you made, that people need this type of change of to realize, to have more self-awareness. I agree very much with that. Because we often used to live our lives out of habit, and this thing forces us to just try to do things differently. And sometimes we get surprising outcomes. I think it's very nice to see how, I mean, in my circle of information, I find a lot of good news, as you just gave a few examples earlier of the communities jumping to help each other for food delivery or for donations or between countries. And I think that facts of kindness, I mean, it's a fact that people are kind. I think that it overcomes all the conspiracy theories. I mean, maybe I'm subjective, because this is most of the information feeds that I am connected to. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. When thank you so much for sharing that, and kindness. When the corona crisis happened, we started a whole yoga group. I teach Kundalini yoga. It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. And one of the ladies said, kindness is the new currency. So, and that's how I started. Like, that was the mindset, because it started in the beginning. I self-quarantined way before the country here quarantined. So that's how I went in, with that mindset. Kindness is the new currency. And I was surprised to see people from all around the world, just like everyone here, I'm sure, who had that similar mindset, and wanted to contribute and to use this opportunity to spread kindness, because humanity is taking a hit. So, compassion and kindness are needed. But it's such a great opportunity for us to elevate that state of consciousness and create awareness within our families too, right? So a lot of people were living most of their lives, traveling between airports, basically. So it's interesting to bring all those virtues that we have learned from our lives and bring them into our systems, our family systems, our communities, our neighborhoods. I was just on a call with one of my friends from New York a while ago, and she said, I never actually took a walk in my neighborhood. I usually walk in the other side of town. So we usually do that. So it's giving us an opportunity to really connect with our roots, so the crown is up here, but also the roots, so roots with Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and that's also something that's transforming in this time. Okay.
I'll add a bit. I actually, I'm in Hong Kong. It's been 3 months now of quarantine. In the 3 months, I've only left my house maybe 15 times in total. But we have a nice house. There's a jacuzzi in the back and a swimming pool and everything. And just before the quarantine here, I actually before everything was quarantined here, I actually had I was supposed to lead I co-organized a group on the Nile. We had 4 barges going between Aswan and Luxor. I do research in consciousness, and we had an event, and I had like an hour. Originally, my mother was going to go, my wife was going to go as well too, and I had an hour to decide to either just go on my own or stay home. And part of it is just related to, you were talking about community and then bigger community and extended, is priorities. So it was a decision: do I go to Egypt and maybe not be able to come back, or do I stay at home with the wife and kids? And I had bags packed, but it was a pretty easy decision. Although there was a little bit of concern, because but then I realized that a lot of the people that went on the Egypt trip, I had a number of my people that were there, so I feel I was okay covered wise in terms of the content that happened there. And then just as I was here, it was a 2-week thing, and then the second week, I guess in Luxor, the coronavirus hit there and everything, and then Egypt kind of clamped down. It was one of those things on hindsight, but when you're making the decision, it's like, wow, I've got this responsibility for this, or family, and you've got these priorities, and then generally it's making sure you're living your priorities.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Gina. What a beautiful way to end this and to wrap up. So being in communion, prioritizing yourself first, your well-being, the well-being of those closest to you in your inner circle, your family, and those who are part of your emotional inner circle. And then you have your outer world and the outer community. And in order for this to be connected and in communion authentically, you must always remember to look within and to reflect. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be part of this, and I enjoyed it so much. And I look forward to connecting with all of you in person, maybe one day, or on one of those events.